Join Gator great Shane Matthews every weekday as he brings you all you need to know about your Florida Gators, including news, analysis, and opinions with some of the biggest names in sports. Find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Or watch us live at 8 a.m. on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter.
Long time no talk, gang. Yes. Seth Harp, Harp on Sports. Yes, I've got my Superman regalia on, if you will. Went and watched the movie yesterday. JC, we're not going to waste any time waiting in the wings. I'm going to get to all the reads and everything that we need to get into over the course of the next 60 minutes here. We've reached the All-Star break, Major League Baseball. What did I see? Wyatt Langford with another monster day over the weekend, 4 hits in 1 game. Jack Caglione, batting average not where it needs to be, but the first half of the season that he's had with the Royals, pretty solid, JC. When you get drafted and in the span of two and a half months, you're already called up. Up and down the board, we are what? Not that anyone's counting. What did I see, JC, that we are a T-minus, is it 39 days, 40 days from kickoff, at least of one college football game, not maybe a power game, but at least one game. Long time no speak. What do you got for me on this Monday morning as we reach the mid stages of July?
Well, Seth, good to see you again, my man, and up in Chicago playing golf, and we are 7 Saturdays away, I think it is, until we start booting the football. I think, up here in this part of the world, it's Big Ten country, that I don't feel like folks are really thinking much about the Illinois Fighting Illini, or even I haven't heard any Notre Dame or seen any Notre Dame fans walking around up here in beautiful Naperville, Illinois, which is just a southwestern suburb of Chicago. But they are talking about the Bears. So, of course, I have the Bears hat. And they have this eternal hope that the Chicago Bears will find a way to beat the Green Bay Packers, and this, by doing so, will compete for the NFC North Division. And that's the first thing on their mind. They're excited about Ben Wilson. They're excited about, we'll see if Caleb Williams can play well and if this team can compete. Their season fell apart last year on a Hail Mary pass at Washington when they had the game won, and then their defensive back was playing with the fans, if you remember that. So this part of the world is not where you are and where I'll be coming back home to tomorrow. And I was reading, Seth, a lot of the Florida preview material from Phil Steele, but I love this guy that I know. Is a friend of mine. His name is Brian Edwards, and he is a handicapper, and he has this piece on what is called MajorWager.com, and it's an incredible preview of the 2025 Florida Gators. And I was just reading through it, looking at all of breaking down the offensive team and the defensive team that this edition of the Florida Gators could offer. Starting with a quarterback, of course, who, by the way, was 6-1. I didn't know. I mentioned this the other day. In his 7 starts, he was 6-1. DJ Lagway, with that Georgia game being the game they lost, and him, of course, being injured in that game when the Gators had a 10-3 lead and the ball. So a lot of optimism on my behalf. I've been kind of dipping my toe in that. Shane's kind of, I think, waiting until we get to August, maybe not. But that's about it, Seth. It's good to see you again. And, I think this is the time of year where, now that we're at the All-Star break, we finished with Wimbledon. Congratulations to Sinner for finally getting over the Alcaraz hump. We're in that time period where we're just kind of chill until we get into training camps.
Yeah. And again, I didn't, my computer's acting up, so I didn't start the show like I normally start it with my all my whole live reads and everything. But of course, if you have a Facebook Live question, fire away, courtesy of Meldon Law, the only official injury and accident law firm partner of the Florida Gators. YouTube Live questions, quality plumbing, residential and commercial plumbing services, emergency repair since 1984. Their name says it all. You want to text away? Let us know. Titan MRI text line, 352-353-7465. That's 352-353-7465. And again, Comfort Temp Heating and Air. It's a burner out there. Good God. Yesterday was like moonwalking on the surface of the sun. Comfort Temp Heating and Air, your number one local HVAC company, professional and experienced technicians, keeping you informed throughout the entire project and process. Check them out, comforttemp.com. That's comforttemp.com. Yeah, and it's one of those things, JC, when you see it and you sit there and say 6-1, it's like, I guess he was 6-1, wasn't he? And the hype and going through and doing predictions in July, you and I have talked about that. It's a waste of time because you just don't know where your injury bugs and things of that nature are going to be, like game by game. But you can do an overall arc, JC. And I know it's been probably, 60 days at least since you and I sat down. And at least I know baseball was still going on the last time that you and I spoke. Because baseball and softball were still going on, at least in this setting. So I sit here and I say to myself where they are and the hype for the Gators and where things, expectations are. JC, for me, this team should have the expectations and at least the thought process. Wouldn't you say, and the COVID year was a weird year, wouldn't you say this team's expectations? Yeah. I wouldn't sit here and say fans are crazy if they expect to win close to double-digit games with a bowl game. Would you?
No, I wouldn't. And I'm curious to see, what I was going to pull up what Florida's win total is out in Vegas. I think it started at 6.5. I think it's gone up to 7.5 now. I'm over 8. And I say that not because of I'm scared of the schedule or I think it's a schedule they can really take advantage of. I just say that because I'm looking at the depth of the running back room, the wide receiver room, the fact that we've got 4 offensive linemen coming back, including a player who has started, I think, in 27 games as an offensive tackle. And I'm talking about, a team that's got a little bit more to offer. I mean, this is Austin Barber that I'm talking about. Yeah, he started in 27 games for the Gators. That's averaging 9 games a season. And it's just that if they stay healthy and the depth is used where it's not required, but it's used because it's part of the rotation, so to speak, and everybody and a lot of these guys get to play, they're going to last because it's a grueling type of schedule with some of these games in these back-to-back scenarios for the 2 Texas teams. You've got Miami and LSU back-to-back, and at the end of the year, you've got Mississippi and Tennessee back-to-back, and then Georgia's right there in the middle of all this. I just think that when you've got guys like Jackson and Katie Daniels and Jaden Baugh in the running back room, and you've got the Wilson boys, Gene Wilson and Dallas Wilson, who I think is going to be tremendous. And you've got, SEC Media Days coming up. And if I was going to say, if I was in Atlanta, I guess it is now, and say, hey, Billy, what is one of the biggest things about this group that you think is going to enable it to get through this season and get to a very satisfying win total and a satisfying year? I think he's going to say we're a much deeper team. I think that's what he's going to say, although I don't know. But that's what I would expect him to say.
Yeah. I got some comments rolling in. Andrew rolling in saying, do you still like the silly games they randomly come up with, like a Florida State and Ireland? JC, I'll let you crack in on that one first.
Well, okay, fill me in. Florida State in Ireland for what?
Like last year where, and you've seen this where like Notre Dame will take on
at the beginning of the year.
Insert team here to start the year in Ireland.
At the beginning of the year. No, I want the Gator fans to be able to see their team in the first game of the season in Gainesville. I'm not up for it. Traveling is difficult these days. The hell with that. These football games, you're in that stadium and before you know it, 3 hours later you're leaving and you ask yourself a lot of times, unless you win, why the hell did I do that? I do that sometimes. I really do. I'm thinking, man, I came a long way, spent a lot of money, and I want the Gators to open like they are in a very simple game, easy game to type of win, to try to showcase some of what he's going to have on the field this year, and then follow that up with a satisfying game against South Florida before they hit the road to LSU. That's the best way, in my mind, to get the season started. Florida State, LSU, all these teams that play these neutral site games to start the season, there's only been really one team that, in my mind, has started the year on neutral site games and been really good at it, and that was Alabama. They always won, in Dallas. They won in Atlanta against Virginia Tech or Clemson or somebody like that. They'd win in Dallas against USC or Michigan or somebody like that. and Saban was on his way. For Florida, I think it's important to just go ahead and get started quickly at home, win, and then be really tuned up for a Louisiana State in week 3. Is that right?
Yeah, and I think it's changed a little bit now. I think you can get away with it now, at least from a fan base perspective, that there's a playoff and there's 13 teams and there's more room for error.
Yeah.
Right. Back when it was the BCS, yeah, I mean, you were really rolling the dice because if you lost, then you had to run the table. Right.
Yeah.
So I look at it, it's a money grab. But now that the payouts, JC, it was one thing when the payouts were $28 million per school, and you could make $2.5 million on a neutral site game to start the year.
Right.
Now that the payouts are in the neighborhood of what, by the end of the decade, we're going to have over $100 million per school from their conference payouts. Mm-hmm. So the push and the pull to have to do those neutral site games or for profit margin, then you start to border the line of just how greedy do you want to be. I don't mind them. If, like you said, like if it's going to be like Florida and West Virginia and Atlanta, or, it's something like that, when they redo Jacksonville and it looks cool, sure, I'm okay. But where you start to get in trouble is when it's, if you do like Florida taking on Washington and Las Vegas to start the year, then all of a sudden, you know what I mean? Then because you're asking your fans that school's just starting, right? You're asking your entire fan base, hey, you know what? Why don't you fork over about $4K and let's go out to a neutral site? So, yeah.
What brought that up? I mean, why did you mention? Did you read something about?
Yeah, it was a message that came in. It's not a bad question out of the gate because it's one of those things that look. Notre Dame this year is taking on. Oh gosh, shame on me. Is it Wisconsin at Soldier Field? So I'm okay with that one because it's right down the road, right? So
a regional game. That's a local game for these folks up here. That's fine. That's great. But who really benefited when Navy and Notre Dame played in Ireland or whatever it was? It was ridiculous.
Whoever cut the check. I've always said people don't do things unless there are commas, plural, in the money. Yeah. Athletic programs will never do something for a singular comma. Now, if you get commas, then you've got everyone's attention, and of course, who wouldn't be all in? You throw enough money in front of somebody, yeah. It's the famous line: "I can't be bought, JC, but I can be rented from time to time." So yeah, there we go. PodUp with Matthews in the morning. JC, Seth Harp with you here. Good gracious, we're in mid-July already. What is it, July 18th, 2025? Brought to you in part by QC Kinetics for long-lasting relief, no surgery, drugs, or downtime. Schedule your free consultation at QC Kinetics today.
Seth, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. Fire away, man.
I was going to say, do you have any takes on the first half of the season in Major League Baseball? I know you and I follow it. I don't know if the viewers care, but I do. This little run by the Blue Jays in the AL East has been impressive to take over first place from New York, with Boston now really hot. That's a 3-horse race, and the Rays are right there just behind. The Tigers, Jesus, the Tigers running away with the Central pretty much from Minnesota. There's Kansas City and Caglione and those guys just under 500. Astros really hot until Cleveland showed up in town and swept them. Don't know how that happened. And then the Phillies, Mets, 1 and 2 there in the East in the National League, and then you've got the Brewers and Cubs. These are 2 towns very close to each other in Milwaukee, Chicago, and then out west it's the Dodgers, who have become kind of a disaster here recently. Now they have won 2 in a row, but they're 3-7 in their last 10 games. And San Diego and San Francisco are just lingering behind around 5-6 games out. And then there's a wild card team. So 3 wild card teams in each league. Any takes you have on the first half of the season? You got the All-Star game coming tomorrow. It's the All-Star break.
Yeah, home run derby too. JC, I think the first half of the season's been fantastic.
Yeah, I love it.
And I'm not I'm not gonna try to split hairs here. I'm not consumed. I played baseball. I grew up. It was my favorite sport. My dad was a baseball coach. I'm not consumed with it like I used to be, which is every night, baseball tonight, Sports Center. It's more of okay, this happened tonight. Okay, I can catch the last inning of this. It's not because I just don't have the time to sit down for 3.5 hours every night and do it anymore. We just our lives. People say the season's too long. The season's not too long. We made our lives too short in terms of everything that we do. The season's the same as it's been for 70 years or 60 years. But with that being said, I think all the gripes and complaints people have had about baseball they've gone away to fix them. They've tried to fix them. And
Making
what we
it
just saw
faster.
in the NBA where people complain about how it's rigged, and sports are rigged. Then you just had what I thought was a pretty cool NBA Finals between the Pacers and the Oklahoma City Thunder. Well, who's leading your divisions right now, JC? The Blue Jays, right? The Tigers. You get the Phillies, the Cubs. You mentioned the Brewers are red hot. The Mariners are right in the thick of things. Yeah, I mean, when's the last time that you had somebody other than the Yankees or Red Sox or Rays leading the East at the All-Star? So you've got all of these, and even the Marlins were on a run there for a while and it kind of dipped for there for a little while. But I think it's been a pretty solid start to the year. And, you know, the Red Sox, I just bring them up because they just swept the Rays, right? They've won 10 in a row.
They are hot.
They are a prime example. And you and I have talked about this with athletes, JC, where they had a disgruntled player. Their star on their team was disgruntled because he didn't want to move over to first base. He didn't want to do that, so he pouted. And
they got rid of him.
Fans that sit there and they say, I would just bench him. And my whole thing is, no, I'm not going to bench you. If you are going to complain, I'm going to try to work with you if you're my star. If you're going to continue it, I'm going to ship you out once I have an opportunity to find a good quality in return. And what did they do? They waited. They had won like 5 or 6. And then they traded him with Devers. I'm talking about Rafael Devers now. That's a 300. I think he's the second highest salary guy in the history of sports.
I mean, yeah. You know, when they got Bregman coming in from Houston, he got pissed because he was going to try to play third base, right? And that's what he was being paid to do in his mind. You know, I think the Red Sox were glad to just get rid of him and unload that salary. Yep. So, you know, sometimes locker rooms, if you don't have a good locker room, you're not going to have a good team. You know, here's Boston at 53-45, and like you said, they are surging.
Won 10 in a row,
and they've won 10 in a row, and so that's going to probably carry on into the second half of the year. I'm impressed with Detroit. I think the biggest disappointment might be Atlanta, even though I know Acuna was not there for most of the beginning part of the season, and the Braves are a team that locally I think we have a lot of fans that follow them. But Tampa Bay somehow amazingly hangs around and competes for a wild card, and that's always nice for a local story, in spite of the fact that they're playing in a minor league ballpark. It's not their fault. I mean, nobody could control what that hurricane did to that awful stadium they have, but the team's for sale. And Shannon and I talked about, I don't know how long ago we talked about this, but you know, maybe a move to Orlando is in the works. I don't know where the hell they're going to play in Orlando. So I'm not sure really what the story is, but I do know I think the owner is trying to sell that team. And we'll see what the Rays end up doing. But they are amazing at how they compete through all of this on a year-to-year basis with new guys and new names. This guy Camanero's hitting the ball everywhere. It's just amazing to me where the Rays are year in and year out, competing with different rosters and low salary, low payroll, and yet there they are. The Tampa Bay Rays are always in the mix. You know, and so, you know, we had the Dodgers come out to a quick start. And that's usually a 3 or 4 horse race out there with Arizona, San Francisco, San Diego. So I think that's going to be a fun division to watch finish through the season. And then obviously the Cubs and the Brewers are big around here. And where I'm at, I'm here playing golf. It's great. I'll be back into the swamp tomorrow. Yesterday I played golf. It was 78 degrees. It got up to a blistering 82 degrees. They were dying up here over the 82-degree weather, but I thought it was absolutely fantastic. And you know, what we go through in July, I guess, is kind of the thing they go through with weather in January, and we just live with it. But I sure do like getting a break and come to a place like this, man. It's awesome.
I hope you're enjoying it up there. I was back in
I love southwest suburb, Naperville.
Yeah.
I'd buy a house here if I could. I really like it that much. I
was back in Indy. My mom and my dad have a birthday around July 4th, so is my nephew. So I checked all the boxes when it came to that, a little over a week and a half ago. But yeah, it's hot there, but it's like, okay, it's not. You can be outside for an hour and not have to be near water. That's
this is not hot. My God.
This time of year.
Yeah.
It's true. We sit here. I want to give you some numbers as we hit the All-Star break, like Gators and the Bigs.
Yeah.
The guy that's had the most successful first half of the year. If you look at former Gators, Wyatt Langford, he's got 15 home runs, 38 RBI. He's hitting just a shade above 240. So he's on pace for 25 plus home runs, 70 RBI. That's a successful first half, wouldn't you say? I would say that's a success.
I think I'd like to see his batting average a little bit
Yeah.
higher. But they, they're happy with him. They are, and he drives people in, and he's their starting left fielder. That's just the way it is. Texas is starting to play a little bit better. If DeGrom and Evaldi stay healthy, watch out for the Rangers to potentially make a run. They need that pitch to stay healthy, but their thing has been hitting. They haven't been able to hit this year. Seager is now back and healthy. That's going to help. I like Texas in the West to make maybe a run as well. Yeah.
And you look at the Royals. The Royals have multiple Gators on it. Jonathan India, 4 home runs, 25 RBI, hitting around 250. So you look at his paces, 7, 40, whatever. But here's my question to you, and I guess look at a guy like Jack Caglione, right? He's been up for 35 games now. He was tearing it up at AA. So they bumped him up to triple, and they moved him up, right? And then he had I think it was 12 strong games, and then they called him up. He's hit a couple of home runs in 35 games. So if you'd extrapolate this out, what he's done through his first 35 games, JC, he'd be on pace to hit 20 home runs, drive in something like 40 runs, 45 runs. Okay. But he's only hitting 140. And he's striking out a lot. So I ask you, even though we're 35 games in and he's hitting 140, should the Royals continue this? We saw the Red Sox with their young star Christian Campbell at second base. They gave him a massive deal. They called him up. He was up a month. He was hitting like 310, 320. They gave him a $40 million deal over like 5-6 years. Struggled. They sent him back down to AAA. With Caglione struggling, not home run. He's got 4 home runs in 35 games. He's hitting 140. JC, you're in the playoff heat here. Do you consider moving him back down and or do you think he's up for good?
I think you do. I think you consider it. I don't know if you do it. I mean, his confidence is probably not that high yet or right now. He has had an issue with leaving guys on base. He left 2 on base yesterday. And like you said, that average is not going to be, it will not endure a Major League Baseball season or even half a season. But as far as a guy like Jonathan India, who's the second baseman for the Royals, former Florida Gator, he's hitting in front of Bobby Witt. That helps. Yeah. It really does. It's great when you have a Bobby Witt hitting behind you and you lead off for the Kansas City Royals. I don't know if Cags, I would hate to see his confidence get shattered by 2 things, either getting sent back down or staying up and not producing. So it's a tough situation. I don't pretend to be a player personnel guy in Major League Baseball, but I do know batting averages, and a 140 BA is not enduring. It's not going to last. That's just not something they're going to entertain. They've got to produce runs, and that's why he's there. If he can't get runners in, then he's not going to play. So yeah,
and it's kind of one of these things here. Baseball's it's just nobody comes in. I shouldn't say nobody because people do it. But it's one of those things that you even see, like the batting average. JC, I saw a video the other day. It said I want to go back to 1998 because like the batting averages of the Cleveland Indians, everybody was hitting over 300. Everybody had 20 plus home runs. So what we've done in baseball is we've taken, at least over the course of the last 20, 25 years, we've taken, what may be a 301, 20 home run, 71 RBI season. And we've turned it into a 255, 31, 86 season. So we've added 20 to 25% more home runs and knocked the batting average down 20 to 25%. So that's across the board. We don't have these massive seasons anymore. And I'm going to use guys just as an example, like Frank Thomas, the guy that got pinched, like Rafael Palmeiro. We don't have these seasons anymore of guys hitting 345, Todd Helton, 41 home runs, 131 RBIs. There used to be 7 or 8 guys like that. Now you're lucky to get 1 or 2.
Yeah.
The other thing too, the other guy that got, a big deal that they talked about trading, I shouldn't say a big deal, but got over $100 million. What did he get? 3 years, 120. At least at the beginning of the year here in the offseason, they talked about he may get shipped out. And that was the polar bear. In New York. And you look at a guy like Pete Alonso and the question marks concerning him that he just wasn't doing what he needed to do batting average wise. And all of a sudden Pete Alonso JC, you ready for this?
Yeah.
He's on pace for 35 home runs.
Yeah, he's not going.
130 RBI. He's hitting 280.
Yeah.
He is having the best average season. He is having the best hitting season, not home runs, because he hit 46 home runs, so he's not on pace to hit. He's on pace to hit in the high 30s. He's having the best all-around season that he has had in his entire major league career.
I love watching these former Florida baseball players do this, and Pete Alonso's been one of my favorite. He does not say a lot. He just goes down there and does his job at first base. They re-signed him, I think. He was up, so they re-signed him and kept him in New York. He was, I think, happy to do it. Two things I want to mention real quick before you hit that break is I do want to answer. Large Fry says, yes, is this a Bears hat? It is a Bears hat, Large Fry. And no, don't go, Pack, go. And then we got somebody asking me to put the toilet seat down in the background there. I'm sorry. I've got this suite up here, and this room is the size of my garage. And then the bedroom is on the other side of this wall here. And there's 2 toilets and 3 sinks. So I'm going to go at the break, put that toilet seat down for Large Fry. I know that's a big problem. And then, we've got some Barones coming in here with some football questions.
Sure.
Should we get those or just?
Yeah, let's since we are at halftime here, let's circle the wagons on this sucker to steal a line from Chris Berman. Shame on me for doing that. And then we'll go through and you can just start peppering me. And I got some rolling in on Facebook as well, and we can hit those up. How about that?
I'll hit the YouTubes. You hit the Facebooks.
Yeah.
Right.
PodUp with Matthews in the morning. Brought to you in part by Electronics World, integration and design specialist for smart home automation and entertainment, affordable local installation service and support, electronicsworld.net. And then also, I know that we got to look back to with Peachland Dental.
We'll do our picks. I'll tell you.
The QB picks with JC as well. Got to look back on those. I know Rory McIlroy was sitting there knocking on the door and kind of stumbled down the stretch, but we only have one major too. And JC, I'll ask you this: Do you like golf now to the point where after the U.S. Open in mid-June, we kind of just have the British Open or the Open, and then the Ryder Cup? And I want to tell you something about the Ryder Cup as well. So we're going to get into that. We're at halftime. JC's got a lot of questions rolling in football-wise. We're going to do rapid fire next. You are listening to this Monday, July 14th, 2025 edition of PodUp with Matthews in the morning.
Our premium sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union,
International Diamond Center,
Meldon Law, QC Kinetics, UF Health Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute, JF Hayden Craft Liqueurs, Florida Cracker Kitchen, Los Linderos Tequila. Gridiron sponsors are Baker Sporting Goods, Comfort Temp, Electronics World, Florida Victorious, Gallo Car Wash, Miapa Latin Cafe, Peachland Dental, Quality Plumbing, Ruse Ogre State Farm, Silverback Concrete, 84 Lumber, Big Mills Cheesesteak, Celebrate Primary Care, Dowling Signs, Gator Bait Media, Gator Dominoes, Ironwood Golf Course, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, UF Bookstores, Nest and Wow, MG&A Wealth Management. Watch and listen to us live on Facebook and YouTube. Listen to the podcast whenever on Apple or Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. To become a sponsor, call my man Freddie at 352-284-3733.
Coach, it always impressed me how you beat Florida State to win the 1996 national championship.
And I was really impressed with your 06, 08, and 09 Gator teams.
And the way you coached Danny to the Heisman Trophy.
A lot like what you did with Tim Tebow.
You won more SEC championships than you lost home games at the Swamp.
And you had plenty of super games in front of our Gator Nation.
Yeah, there really is something special about the Swamp.
I guess that's why we say about the Swamp, only the Gators get out alive.
To the Swamp and the Gators, with the best beverage served at Spur's Gridiron Grill, 100% agave, Los Linderos tequila, aged in bourbon barrels for a smoother taste.
I think you mean head beer coach, 1966 lager, a crisp, light, bodied lager for easy drinking.
Nope. Los Linderos tequila, smooth enough to drink neat, bold enough to elevate a cocktail.
1966 lager, enjoyed on game days in the fall or whenever you need a winning cold brew.
Los Linderos tequila.
1966 lager.
Los Linderos.
1966 lager.
Y'all stop bickering.
Okay, you're both wrong anyway. The best thing Spurrier's Gridiron Grill offers are Jerry's famous chocolate chip cookies.
Oh, all the way from the North Pole. It's me, Santa Claus. Oh, I'm here with my friend Steve Spurrier for an amazing Christmas in July offer.
Spurrier's Gridiron gift cards are on sale for 20% off.
Coach, how do they get them?
You can go to Spurriers.com and order a digital card or stop by my restaurant in Celebration Point and pick some up today.
Thanks for being my holiday helper in July, Coach. Hurry, this special Christmas in July offer is for this month only. Ho, ho, ho.
What's up, everyone? I'm Mike Pouncey, and this is my twin brother Marquise Pouncey, and this is Life After Football.
Let's go. We are the owners of Tropical Distillery, and JF Hayden's is our liqueur brand. We have 5 different flavors: a mango, a lychee, an espresso, citrus, and key lime pie. We pride ourselves on not only being a Florida-made brand, but also a cocktail solution. With that being said, cheers and go Gators.
Moving back along with you here on this Monday edition of PodUp with Matthews in the morning. Seth Harp in for the QB, JC in the Midwest, joining us live via a location. People have been asking me the location behind me. JC, even it's a bar called the Harp. It's right across from where the Celtics and the Bruins play. It used to be the Fleet Center, now it's the Garden again. It's this cool little pub right across the street. My sister lives out there, so when I went out there, I saw this. I'm like, hey, you know what? No, I'm not actually at that location, but it beats the mess and the construction that's going on in the background behind me. I know you're used to seeing the Pacers light back there. Oh, my boys, oh, so close, JC.
So, I thought of you, Seth.
I know.
I was thinking if these guys pull it off, we've got to have Seth back on there.
I know.
We've got to hear from him because that was close, man. I thought you had it. You beat the Knicks. That was good.
Yeah. But that shows you why when people say things are rigged. It's like, no, because things like that happen, right? With Tyrese Halliburton, if you're going to rig it, you're going to rig it before a Game 7 because things can go wrong in a Game 7. PodUp with Matthews in the morning. Coming to you live, courtesy of Meldon Law. Facebook Live questions, fire away. I know JC's got some coming up. The only official injury and law firm accident partner of the Florida Gators. YouTube questions, courtesy of Quality Plumbing. Let's see, residential commercial plumbing, emergency repair since 1984. Their name says it all. And of course, as we bounce around, I'm a guest today filling in for the QB, courtesy of Comfort Temp Heating and Air, your local number one HVAC company, professional and experienced technicians, keeping you informed throughout the entire process. Check them out, comforttemp.com. That's comforttemp.com. Comfort Temp Heating and Air. Comfort is the business, but peace of mind is the promise. All right, you've got some questions, JC. I know they're rolling via Facebook as well. What do you got for us?
First thing is a traveling pro tip. If you're on these trips and you feel a little dehydrated in the morning for whatever reason, this stuff is magic. I found some of this in a box at Walgreens. It's called Liquid IV. It is so good. You get this and you get one of these. You throw it in there. And I swear to God, it's like instant life. So that helps. All right. So anyway, Jonathan Russell, JC, does the Hard Rock pay when a golfer finishes tied for 20th with 5 other golfers? They will if you have top 20. I believe that's the case. Or do they view it as a loss or a push when you make a top 20 bet? Well, I haven't had that scenario, but I'm going to guess that, and I don't know what my guess is worth to you here, Jonathan, but I'm going to guess you still get paid. As long as it says top 20 and you have a top 20 wager, a ticket on that, you should get paid. We had golf over the weekend in Scotland. I had Matthew Fitzpatrick. He finished tied for 4th. So I would have expected to get paid in a top 5 on a top 5 wager. I had him to win at a very large number, 40-1. It didn't happen. It was close. I also had Nikolai Højgaard, and he played well as well. He was in the top 10. So I didn't make those bets. I wish I had. I had him just to win. Shane was on Oberg, Hovland, Burns, Grayson, and Morikawa. Well, Hovland and Oberg, I think, were close, but it goes to an American named Gator the hell's his name? Gotterman from Maryland. First time winner on the tour. We had a lot of first time winners on the golf tour, and now we end up at Royal Portrush for the British Open or the Open. That's this weekend in Ireland. So, that's it for me. After that, you mentioned, what is golf for you, JC? If we don't have the Ryder Cup, and luckily we do this year, golf basically ends after the British Open for me. The Tour Championship to me is a money grab. I'd be more interested in it if they put up their own money and play for it. But I do think that it's nice that they redid the seeding where somebody who's 10 strokes up and wins in 1 week isn't 10 strokes ahead starting the next week. I thought that was asinine. But after the British Open or the Open Championship, for me, it's all about football, dude. We've got training camp coming up. We've got, in the NFL, and then we've got, the Hall of Fame game kicks it off. And then basically off we go into the season. And the thing about college football, folks, is, try to enjoy July and August if it's possible. I know it's difficult down there with the weather we have, but I think it's amazing how quickly college football goes before you blink your eyes and you wake up one morning and you're already in week 6. So that's just how it works. The anticipation of college football for me is a big thing.
Yeah, and it's one of these things too where it's a law of supply and demand. And JC, they've added a couple games here and there at the end, but one thing that we have seen is that people's appetite for football, it's not decreasing.
Oh my God! Everybody's talking about what's wrong with football. Football's being ruined. This, that, and the other. They got more people watching it today than ever in history. All right, there's more money being spread around. If anything, college football is at its very best right now and thriving with all the money that's being thrown around and all of the revenue that's being created and all of the damn games we get to talk about in terms of a playoff scenario. I love it. I don't want to go back to the BCS. I don't want to go to these ridiculous bowl games. I want to go to a scenario where we find out who the champion is on the field. And there are many years have gone by where we've known that at the end of the year. That's true. The 2012 Alabama team, the 96-97 Florida team, the 2001 Miami Hurricanes. We know these teams were the best teams when they play. The 95 Nebraska Cornhuskers, my God. But now with a playoff scenario and the fact that they're going to do the seeding properly for this 12th playoff team allotment this year, and then move to potentially 14 or 16 teams next year, I think it's great. I'm all for it. Let's do it.
Yeah, and I look at this too, and I used to think that, and I'll give you an example of like a franchise like football, too big to fail. Like Star Wars, it's kind of, they've oversaturated the market. I thought it was too big to fail, but now they've had shows and things that haven't been successful. I have yet to see the thing in football that's not successful because they play games in Brazil, and now they're going to play games in Australia, and what are they doing there? They can look, if that sport is all about growing its revenue and growing its cap, and not only is it growing, it is JC, it's like Bernie Madoff Ponzi scheme return, right? Where each year revenue's up like 19%. It's like that doesn't exist anywhere on any mutual fund or any Roth IRA, but it just keeps making more and more money, and the appetite just continues to grow. You know how popular it is and how great it is? I saw Deion Sanders has a gripe. You know what his biggest gripe right now is?
Tell me.
Football players don't wear knee pads.
They don't wear knee pads
anymore, and they should be fined for it. They should be flagged for not wearing knee pads. It's like, okay, is that? Yeah, I understand what he's saying, but that.
I think he also added something about he wants to see NIL have a salary cap or something to that effect. We're going to start getting into employment here soon. We're going to have collective bargaining. I mean, it's pro sports again.
It is.
Sorry, it just is.
It is.
Let's just be honest. With DJ Lagway is making so much money, he has played 7 or 8 games. He has played 8 games, and his bank account has over 7 figures in it because of those 8 games. That's incredible to me, and good for him. Not blaming him, but my God, that's 8 games. So, I mean, hey, this is his year, man. He's got to come through. Clint wants to know, hitting the Hard Rock app Saturday as soon as I So play some bets. Maybe jump on some UFC. I'm not Clint. I can't do. I don't know anything about UFC. I just know two guys are beating the hell out of each other. I couldn't tell you one thing after another. I have no idea about that. And yes, Brian, I am close to Arcadia Bluffs. Great golf course, one of my favorite of all time, maybe my top 3 on the west coast of Michigan, just north of here, toward Traverse City. That is tremendous. Right across the lake is Kohler, Wisconsin, and that's where you have Seth, that golf course where they what the hell can I think of it? It's in Wisconsin, Whistling Straits. My God. So yes, Brian, I am right there, dude. It's a fabulous place, and this weather up here is just great. They talk about it being hot. They don't know anything. We live in Vietnam down there, and in July it's miserable. But that's I'll be flying through these thunderstorms tomorrow in Delta. God bless Delta. They get 5 stars for avoiding a line shower I had to fly through the other day. Just drove me absolutely crazy, but I was comfortable, and they did a great job. So anyway. We hear all these horror stories about flying. Here's one where it worked out really well. So take that to heart, folks.
I know what I was going to tell you, and shame on me for
what's that?
For waiting. Last night was the first round of the baseball draft, right?
Yeah, I saw that. I missed it, but I mean,
and without a Gator in it, I didn't. I mean,
yeah,
it's down in the background, but I didn't. I can't
keep up with it.
Yeah, usually it's one of those things. I'm like, oh, well, for the last JC, for the better part of the last decade, we knew that there was a Gator going in the first or second round of the supplementary section after the first round. And what do we have? What's his name? Is it Arnold from Florida State? He went in the top 15 last night. I think he got drafted by the artist formerly known as the Oakland A's. But other than that, I mean, yeah, Kate Anderson from LSU, I guess, would have been
He was good.
Yeah, I mean, keep going to the Mariners, but that's kind of where we were last night. And it's funny that you bring. Well, the reason I'm bringing that up is that we talk about DJ Lagway. You talked about his money. It's tied in here. Eli Willits was the number 1 pick in the draft, right? He goes to the Nationals. His signing bonus and his signing bonus is number 1 pick in baseball's draft. His pick value is $11 million. And you're going to have guys in NIL now, JC, that make that in college. So now I'm talking baseball to football, but could you imagine the number 1 pick in baseball is not going to make the money that about 6 to 10 guys are going to make in football this year?
It's crazy. Here's Perot. This is a good one. Billy is 1-3 versus Miami and Florida State. So winning the Florida Cup is important in 25, and you can't brag about being the SEC program in Florida if you can't dominate the ACC teams in Florida. All right, well, he'll get his chance. I mean, they did beat FSU last year, of course. And, Miami is a game I'm telling you, it's going to be coming off that LSU game. It's scary to me. I don't know what Miami's got. Cam Ward won't be there. I don't trust Cristobal very much. And they could have easily lost 4 or 5 games last year, but they did dominate when they were in here. So I don't know. I think we talk about these SEC games. We talk about I talk about when they play in these back-to-back games against Texas and Texas A&M. Who else in the country does that? Back-to-back games, Miami and LSU. Back-to-back games, Tennessee, Mississippi, and then Georgia in the middle and all that. It's not easy. So listen. SEC Media Day, Seth. I think it's this week, and we've got Lagway, Slaughter. I think Jake Slaughter. Could be a player. Well, he is a player, but he could be something special. And then who's it? Caleb. Who else is going? Do you know? It's Caleb.
I'm looking at all the teams right now. Hold on here. Let me scroll up and down the list here. But where you're going at, JC, is when's the last time you remember Florida being in the top 3 or 4 in terms of star power at this thing?
No, it's
right, and they are. So I'm not trying to pump rainbows and sunshine onto someone's southern border, but it's one of these things that I'm getting pretty good with phraseology here in my ripe old age. But it's one of those things that Gator fans should be optimistic and I say anything less than 9 wins is kind of one of those things that you're like, what? But you should be optimistic. Well,
I mean, come on. The number has been artificially low for a reason, and it was artificial 2 years ago. Last year, they went over that number of wins in the regular season. If you don't expect, or if you can't get 8, then that's a problem. I think they have to win that LSU game. And that's a big one.
Yeah. You were right. Slaughter, Lagway, and Banks.
Yeah, Banks.
Caleb Banks was the third one you were doing.
That's that. They'll have a good time up there with Coach. And listen, I'm excited about this. Is the first time I think in July before season where I've actually said to myself, you know what? I think Florida could really make some. They can make some heads turn this season, and it's because of, again, as we said at the beginning of this program, that in my mind it's the depth that they will have on the offensive line, hopefully, but also in that wide receiver room, in that running back room. I mean, Jacoby, you've got KD, you've got Jaden Ball. I mean, these guys. Ball was so good last year, and he really came on at the end of the year. That I think there's a lot of reason to be optimistic. It's the defense that has to make you, scratch your head a little bit about how they're going to perform. But man, if they can put pressure on the quarterback the way they did in the last couple of games of the year last year at LSU, and specifically LSU, and then in that Ole Miss game, I think you got a real shot, man. We'll see. Defense is always going to be one of those things for this team.
Yeah, and it's the, you've been in a 4-year rebuilding mode.
It's been forever. It feels like they've been rebuilding. My God, I'm sick of the rebuilding. Enough of the rebuilding. I mean, Indiana won all their games last year. They were happy. They didn't rebuild anything. They just went out there and won football games. Now, granted, it was the schedule that you look at back and say, it wasn't that hard. Well, it's still Indiana that did it. So I don't know. I just think that enough of the rebuilding talk. I want to see G. Wilson light up teams, catch 10 balls. I want to see him be healthy. Of course, he got hurt last year, not his fault. But I want to see production. I want this Aiden Mizell to be running up and down the field like Randy Moss. Okay, what's wrong with wanting that? And that's what I think these guys have, is that they've got these players now that they can change games and outcomes of games with, and make a real. And it's going to come down to Lagway being healthy. He's got to be healthy. And then we'll see what kind of depth they have to keep them healthy up front and so forth. But Caleb Banks, senior defensive tackle, he'll be there, and there's going to be a lot of questions. Hey, Caleb, dude, you guys really turned it up maybe at the end of the season last year. What's it going to take to get started early in the year and get off that fast start? That's what I'm hoping.
Something I wanted to share with you and gauge your thoughts on it. I mean, I have lived in this state for over a decade now. Gainesville's home.
Yep.
I know what a zoo it is on the weekends, especially during football season. This came out on Friday, JC. Orlando, the Citrus Bowl. You ready for this? About ready to roll out at Camping World Stadium. What is it? About $300 million plus in renovations over the course of the next 18 to 24 months to get the Jaguars to play games in Orlando as opposed to Gainesville. It's something that, we talked about a couple months ago, and it's kind of hovering around there. It looks, because this is in 2027, the Jaguars are going to have to play games away from Jacksonville just because of the renovations of that stadium. It looks like Gainesville is out when it comes to Jaguar home games. It had been for a year. JC, they'd have played multiple games in London, maybe one international game outside, like maybe in Mexico City. It had been 5 or 6 games. What are your thoughts on, I know it's a couple years down the road, Gainesville apparently at this time losing out on home Jaguar games here in the next 2 or 3 years?
Shane correctly predicted that would be the case just because the stadium isn't ready for that. It's not renovated to this NFL needs or whatever. Orlando is a city that's trying hard to attract some franchise of some sort. And that stadium in that part of town is in such a ghetto. It's so bad in Orlando. It's such a toilet. They have to put money into it and commit to it. I think that's the case. We're talking about the 2027 season for the Jaguars.
Yeah.
This year, we're going to have a normal year, and then they're going to take off half the stadium for 26, somehow still playing that with all the construction. Don't ask me how that's going to go. As a season ticket holder, I'm very glad that I'm not required to buy season tickets in 26 or 27 to keep that priority for 28 when the new place is built and finished. That whole downtown area in Jacksonville is going to be spectacular. They will eventually host the Super Bowl. I am convinced of that sometime probably near 2030 or beyond. And I think the Jaguars as a franchise will be reborn, basically. And I'm glad to be involved in that by having bought season tickets for this year, which is what their requirement was. So we're all seeing how it works. It's an investment in time and in the future. Orlando, if they put that kind of money into that facility and they get it ready, will be a fine place for the Jags to play in 2027. It'll be hot as hell. It's hot as hell in January, in September in Jacksonville. But this is part of Southern football team. And when I hear these folks up here in Chicago tell me that 82-degree day yesterday was a burner up here. Well, no, that's not hot. So it's funny, everybody in the North, Seth, and you know this, being an Indiana boy, they all say, "Oh, we can't wait to get an SEC team up here in November, December." How about let's see Notre Dame play Florida State in Tallahassee in September, or let's see maybe Ohio State would love to come to the Swamp or the Citrus Bowl in September. See how that goes. So yeah, whatever.
Yeah, and where did we see that once? Oh, good gracious! You see it with directional schools that would come down and play Florida every now and then at the start of the year, and then in bowl games. You're practicing the cold and you go down and you're just playing in 75-degree weather and you get
right. They love it up here. Go down to those bowl games in January. It's a trip for them. They spend the whole 10 days down there in Florida spending money. It's great. But the game is just a small part of that. The game is a small part of that. So I mean, I don't know. I love getting a different perspective from a different part of the country. This is Big Ten country, but it doesn't feel like it's football country, other than they really are worried about whether or not the Bears can compete. So Notre Dame talk will start up here soon. But everybody I talk to in terms of college football, they talk about Illinois, and they don't talk much about it. So
yeah, that's where we are. I mean, it is what it is. I hate that life, but you're right.
Michigan's a big name up here in this part of the town. Michigan is, proximity to Detroit on the other side of Lake Michigan and across the state of Michigan. That's a big, the Wolverines. But that's about it, man. I don't even hear Notre Dame conversation much. So.
That's kind of big. That's going to be a weird. It's kind of a bizarre season because they have their best pedigree quarterback that they had there.
Look what they did last year. They beat the shit out of Georgia. And I love watching that. Now Georgia was missing their quarterback. Fine, fair, but physically Notre Dame manhandled the Georgia Bulldogs. How about that?
When's the last time you saw a team not in the SEC physically on defense, JC?
I know.
Not physically defensively beat up an SEC. Not middle of the pack. It wasn't like they were lighting up Mississippi State or they were, strangling the life out of Kentucky in some neutral site bowl game. They thumped defensively. They strangled power. PodUp with Matthews in the morning. Brought to you in part by Campus USA Credit Union. It's where Steve Spurrier banks, man. In this day in sports history, you ready, JC? I kind of went through the ladder here. I found a couple things. 37 years ago. Mike Schmidt passed Mickey Mantle for 7th place in the all-time home run list with his 537th home run. We've had multiple all-star games on this date throughout history. The National League in 92 and 87, and you get those 5-year cycles. But maybe the biggest thing that I was able to find, this is just mind-boggling that it's been this long. 57 years ago today, Hank Aaron hit his 500th home run.
Oh,
so there you go.
That was a good one there.
7 years ago today, Hank Aaron hit his 500th home run. So this day in sports history brought to you by Campus USA Credit Union.
Awesome. Well, that was a good one to pull out of the hat there.
Shake and bake. Home run derby, all-star game. I'm not going to ask you who you think's going to win or any of those things. What I say is there's a lot of all-star games that get out of hand. Hockey, I don't even know what. Basketball, with football, we got rid of that one. Baseball's the only one that not only mirrors a real game, it mirrors a postseason game. Because we know in the postseason, you bring pitchers in every inning. The hook is a hook. So baseball's all-star game is not only, a replicant of what a real game is, it's a postseason game. So enjoy it. There's nothing to complain about this game about. Enjoy it. It's actually fun. It's the only one that's fun.
There you go.
So there you go. Hey, long time. I know it's been over 2 months. We have to do this again soon, my friend. How about that?
You got it, Seth.
Appreciate it. So I got to thank Freddie Weeby, the QB, Zach Rothrock, JC. on this Monday edition. Hope everybody enjoyed their weekend. Enjoy another hot week. We've got a couple of 3 weeks in no man's land here when it comes to sports, at least in terms of meccas. But we're building to something here. 7 weeks from this past weekend, college football starts. So for JC, for Zach, for Freddie, for the QB, for everybody, enjoy your Monday. I'm Seth Harp. This has been PodUp with Matthews in the morning.